we're about to bring in the guy who broke the trade. Let's see if when I bring him in, his video goes on. Oh, yeah.
Bruce is probably at the cottage too.
Here he is.
No.
What's up, buddy?
There he is.
Sorry, my dial-up internet here at the rink was not working too well.
Well, it worked enough to break the trade. How does one break trades like that? Because you were first to report.
Of course.
I was laughing because I got a text from someone saying Spence to Ottawa. So I'm thinking, okay. Well, there's about 9,000 Spences.
Yeah. Like, were you thinking it was Malcolm Spence? Like they were trading up to draft him?
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm like, okay, which one? Anyway, and little working behind the scenes. Here we go. See?
How many like how do you confirm that? So you get the initial message, then how do you go about it before it goes on Twitter? Or do you just put in your article, and hope for the best?
No. I made sure I got checked with 2 or 3 people. I sent out about 7 or 8 texts, heard back from a couple, and once I heard back from 2 people who I trust. Me. Yeah. No, I didn't.
Well, he said people he trusts, Ross.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a good deal for Ottawa, guys. I think if you look at it, they didn't give up anything off the roster. It addresses their need for right shot defensemen. I know people are excited about the videos of Nick Jensen rollerblading, but guys, that doesn't mean anything. I was told that he will not be ready to start the season. He is going to play next season because I was initially told that that might be it for him, but I have been since told that he will play next season. But I don't know what the procedure he had was, but it's going to be a while. And to think that a guy rollerblading is some miracle recovery from an injury is maybe a little much. It's a good sign. Yeah. There's no question it's a good sign. I also saw him hitting some golf balls, so that's a good sign too. But it's going to be a while for Nick Jensen.
Could you rollerblade like that?
No, I couldn't rollerblade if
I was going to say rollerblading's tough. I couldn't do it either. The only way I know how to stop is to go on the grass.
I now have a golf cart, fellas, that rolls itself.
Clutch.
I got a battery and it walks beside me.
What do you call that? Laleem's Martian?
Yeah.
No, electronic color. And what's even better about it is I have now figured out how to set it so that I can send it to the next tee while I putt.
That's fancy.
Yeah. Anyway.
But what about when you putt it off the green and you got to go all the way there to get your chipping wedge again?
Yeah, that's not why
it's in the right spot.
Yeah, then I got to walk over and get it. No, good deal, and what a way to start the day, right? This is a significant trade for Ottawa. You guys know that. I mean, this gives them. You look at their defense right now; they're probably set for next season, aren't they? And if they've got Lassie Thompson, they've got him in the phone call away.
Yeah.
Now,
well, hey, by the way, just quickly, Pilsy,
yeah.
You didn't credit us on breaking that trade, but you were supposed to be on with us while that trade broke. So if it weren't for our generosity to push you later on,
that's right. Yeah.
You don't break the trade. So I mean,
that's right. Yeah,
whatever.
I needed that 20 minutes. You
exactly.
Guys helped me.
Credit to our generosity. So we had known, like when Lassie Thompson came, I don't think that was we've solved the Nick Jensen issue here. I think it was more just, hey, let's retain a good right shot young defenseman that's in our control, and had a good year in the SHL. But was Jordan Spence a guy that you kind of had on your radar as someone that the Ottawa Senators could acquire? Because Ross and I were looking at a guy in Colorado, and maybe you can tell us if we're off or on at this, Sam Malinsky, restricted free agent right shot guy. So Spence kind of seemed out of the blue for us, but we just talked to Eddie Garcia. He does Locked On Kings, Kings guy, and he said it was no surprise to him at all that Jordan Spence was moved there because he had fallen out of favor with the coaching staff there. So was that a guy you were kind of keeping tabs on?
Well, I more thought that they might do something on the unrestricted free agent market, right? But I think you have to look. I was thinking about this after. Who's the GM of the Edmonton Oilers? Steve Sales. Who was going to be the next? And he's now the GM of the LA Kings. Who was going to be
Ken
the
Holland?
next?
Ken Holland.
Yeah,
I said
Ken
Steve
Holland.
Ken
Sales.
Holland.
Yeah.
No, but who was going to be the next GM? He was grooming Steve Sales to be the next general manager.
Right.
This is Steve Sales solving something for Ken Holland that perhaps he thought was going to be a problem. This allows the Kings to use that cap space to go out and acquire another defenseman. Someone in my timeline suggested, guys, they've been linked to Cody Ceci. Does that make any sense to you guys? Or is
to
this
LA? I mean, maybe they would have seen him play in San Jose and in Edmonton when they played Edmonton a million times in the playoffs.
And I'm pretty sure that it was in Anaheim that Cody Ceci got dangled by a guy without a stick. He kicked it off the boards and went right around him.
And of course, Ken Holland was Ken Holland was the GM in Edmonton when Ceci was there, right? Pilsy.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of got to do the circle here a little bit. I just think I thought they would have to do something in free agency. I think this, they get a 24-year-old defenseman. I was just saying to the guys in the room, to Julian and Alex and Murray and the guys, if you think about it, if Jensen's a UFA after next year, this gives you a guy who, he's not going to just be a placeholder, but he'll be ready to play the year after. Right?
Yeah, well, it seems like a bit of a theme, right? They did the same with Fabian Zetterlund, getting a guy in the last year, but still RFA. Worked a lot better than getting the first RFA a few years ago there with Alex DeBrincat. I had a question for you that's more so your experience here covering a decentralized draft. What was it like at the CTC yesterday, and what was kind of the order of events, how everything unfolded?
Well, it was long. You guys know, I honestly, I was completely wrong about this because I thought this draft would go really fast because I was thinking, okay, you're not going to have 25 people going up on stage to shake the kid's hand and welcome him to the National Hockey League. My only problem with last night was the whole idea of teams saying hello to their draft pick was just a bad idea.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The team house or something?
Yeah, the hockey house.
The hockey house.
Yeah, and it was a bad idea. I think if they had because I watched a little bit of the NBA draft the night before because I wanted to see how they worked it. And basically, guy gets drafted, talks to TV, and then whatever else goes on. And I think the National Hockey League, they tried too many bells and whistles. It just became too complicated. And I felt bad for the Senators because, they don't look good on that front. So,
yeah, but they weren't the only team that had technical difficulties.
No, absolutely.
So it happened. And I think, Bruce,
that's why I feel sorry for them, it's a big, the draft is a big moment for everybody. And, you want things to go smoothly.
How about when they asked James Higgins to wave at the frozen screen?
Oh God.
Yeah, there was a bunch of blunders, but I think too it was especially frustrating for the Sens because I truly believe they got a guy in Logan Hensler that's excited to go there, and I got to assume that talks with them. Can you touch on that? Do you have any idea of what the discussions were like with Hensler, and if there was a clear sign that this was a guy they were going to be interested in? I know Don Boyd mentioned he was high on their list, and they would have been happy to take him with 21st overall if they had stayed there.
Yeah, I think my thinking is they must have had a guy, but they must have thought. My guess would be that they just, if they were going to go back, they didn't want to make sure that they lost their guy, right? They clearly knew. They probably talked to 22 and said, "What are you doing?" before they made this deal, and maybe there is still a little bit of cooperation, but that would have been made more difficult, guys, by the fact that you're not in the same room. Yeah. Although I guess Although I guess you can have telephone conversations. I was saying to my buddy the other day, he used to be the late John Stanton. He used to be a scout for the LA Kings, and he was a longtime friend of mine. And he would, whenever I went into a lobby, he was there. And by the morning of the draft, he could tell you the top 10 picks easily because he had them down pat. And that's the only thing. They really like Hensler. They want a right shot defenseman. All we've heard about guys in the last month is that right shot defensemen are a premium. Well, they have two up and coming. I mean, this also, like, we shouldn't sit here. I'm not saying he's going to make the team, but we shouldn't sit here and discount the fact that Carter Yakimchuk had a hell of a training camp last year. He's going to come in and push those guys for time as well. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, I guess down the road, where will this leave Artem Zub? Anyway, but we'll have that discussion another day.
Yes.
I heard someone say he's untouchable. Oh, then I'm out of here.
Well, we're gonna get you back on in the summer, Bruce, and we'll go through.
Because you like to say his name? Come on.
Well, I think
he did not have a good year last year.
Yeah, but Bruce, being a stable partner that your number one defenseman likes to play with, that gives you some job security, I would guess, for Artem Zub. We got to get you. We got to get you out on this, Bruce. Everybody's wondering what's going on with Claude Giroux here. I mean, we thought it was going to be done before the draft. We thought this was closer. And now that the Ottawa Senators have acquired a guy in Jordan Spence, now I'm not saying he's going to come in here and be a savior and he's the missing piece, but they've acquired a guy on a good deal, $1.5 million. I got to assume that's also them kind of showing Giroux, hey, if we have some extra money to play with, we can make things happen without taking guys off our roster. It only costs them a 3rd round pick and a 6th round pick, and he provides Jensen insurance. Do you believe that move is part of the process of bridging the gap to showing Giroux, hey, if you take the discount, we can be responsible with the money that you're saving us? Or is this just a thing where Giroux's like, I don't believe I'm getting the respect I'm due here, and I want to be at a certain cap hit because that's what I've earned?
I've gone through several iterations in my mind of what's going on here because I, like you, you put stories together in advance sometimes so you can be ready.
Well, I was going to ask you how many versions of the Giroux negotiation story have you put out?
I think I'm on my 7th version of the story where he signs. It's, in fact, I keep changing the date, right? So, the slug. So the slug, I think I started out with when they were at the combine in Buffalo because I thought they'd sign him that week. I really thought the negotiation was going to be that simple. I was told that the last offer to Giroux was somewhere in the 2.75 range with bonuses, 2.75 to 3 million with bonuses. I think that he wants to. I think he's probably looking, and I don't know this for certain, so I'm not going to sit here. Nobody radio me. I think he's probably looking at David Perron's contract. I've asked about 6 teams this, and I asked them in the last 24 hours because of where things are. They all still tell me that this will get done. Okay. And I can only base it on that. But, we've heard the Senators have said all the right things about Claude Giroux, but I think we all agree it's time for the talk to turn to action and just get this done.
How big does things shift if he makes it to free agency?
Well,
does that change everything or no?
Well, then they'll have to replace him. I think you guys would agree he's the best free agent signing this organization has ever had.
Yeah, people can go watch our Ring of Honor draft.
Clark MacArthur would be a very strong second, but
Dominic Hasek too.
Yeah, but he wasn't there when they needed him.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just think that this is a guy that they want to keep. They keep saying they want to keep him. I know he has a very good relationship with Michael Andlauer. Michael Andlauer did say to me recently that at some point he might sit down for a face-to-face meeting with him. I don't know if that has happened. I did ask Michael that question recently, and
wasn't he a part of the first contract negotiations? I thought Andlauer was there.
Yeah, he's skirted by that one. No, because yes, he was. That's right. He was in Buffalo. Yes, but I also think at some point he was going to sit down with Claude, and I'm not sure if that's happened. So they keep saying they love Claude Giroux. Well, I guess what we need to see now is a little bit of love in the negotiation. How about that?
Hey, we all want some
love. Bad line. Yeah, exactly.
But we also love a little bit of hate on this show, and I'm going to call out our guy Laleem's Martian right here because I pulled it up, and this is from 2 summers ago, okay? So this is before Eunice Corpusalo ever played a game for the Ottawa Senators, but I just went back and looked at our friggin' best UFA signings in Sens history. So what we do every summer, Bruce, maybe we'll get you on for one. We draft teams of 4. And then we put it out to a vote who drafted the best team. And you can't pick the same players. Best Sens UFA signings. Pilsy, very biased, obviously took Hasek first. This is YouTube exclusive, so I don't have to read them all off for the audio listeners. How about Martian throwing Eunice Corpusalo as one of the 16 best free agent signings?
I mean, to be fair, it was the last round pick.
Yeah, a bit of recency bias there, though, too, right?
But look at that face. That's the face of a guy who just selected Eunice Corpusalo. But I mean, this list also shows you that maybe the Senators haven't had too many.
No, but I'm looking here. I kind of forgot about Artem Zub. Like Artem Zub would be up there. Yeah. No, he would be.
Who wins the draft? Who wins the draft, Bruce? Who's got the best 4 overall?
All are good. Well, you fall off of Vladimir Tarasenko, Pilsy.
Man, he played really well for them, and they ended up.
Okay, Ross, you win, buddy. I'll excuse you, Joe. I'll excuse you with Joe Clover.
I know, but he had big moments in the playoffs, though. And the very last one we have to get you out of here on is you have a stalker at the CTC.
Who?
Graham Creech. This came in while we've been talking. Creature says Brucey in his office.
Oh my god! They've turned off the air in the bowl. Oh my god, it's so hot in here.
Oh my god, hilarious. So hey, stay cool down there. You deserve a couple frosty ones after a great season of draft coverage. Always appreciate you, man. We'll do this again later this summer.
Yeah, see, the old dog can still break the odd story.
Just scoops.
I have been tarred and feathered by the good people on X.
Not by us, Bruce.
Every so often I give them I'm still here.
He's still here. He's still got it. Bruce, we're looking forward to reading that 19th iteration of Claude Giroux signing with the Ottawa Senators.
Just know when you read it, it was written on June 1st.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Bruce. Talk soon. Hey, right, thanks, man. Appreciate you. There goes Bruce Garrioch breaking the news today that the Ottawa Senators have acquired Jordan Spence. Guy gets so much unnecessary hate. He's a funny guy.
Every single time I've talked to Bruce, I've left being like, he's so hilarious. He's confident. He's still got it. Like he says, he's more plugged in than I think people give him credit for.